All right, welcome. I'm very happy to have you here and have this conversation today. Could you please introduce yourself for everybody listening?
I am Leslie Garcia. I'm a product designer based in New York. And I'm employed, y'all. I got my first job. So I'm an employed product designer from New York.
Awesome. So a lot of people that listen to these podcasts and videos that we create, they're trying to really figure out if UX UI design is for them. Can you share a little bit about your journey of like how you found out what UX UI design was and what made you like take the leap into like, I'm going to try this out?
Yes, I can. So as far as my background goes, I studied, creative writing in school. I thought I was going to be a poet. I thought in 2022, I was going to do it. And I didn't. I got rejected to all the graduate schools that I applied to. And so I was going to be an English school teacher. And I had experience working with different students in the past. But 2 months after I graduated college, I received a phone call that my dad had a stroke, and he became paralyzed from the chest down. So at 22, I became his full-time caregiver, and I've been doing that, and I still do it for the past 3 years. And I spent 3 years where I avoided LinkedIn because it felt like everybody else was doing something with their lives, and I was just very lost. And so I remember scrolling through TikTok and coming across Maka's beautiful face, just talking about user experience design. And something that attracted me to it was, as I was caregiving for my dad, one of the struggles I had was feeling like things just were not built for him. Like it felt like stairs were everywhere. Like just the environment that we were in was just not built for him. But I saw the way that like digital products really changed his life. Like he could control lights from his phone, little things like that. And so learning that, user experience design is really about like people and helping people do things and understanding people and what they need, I think is what attracted me to it. And so, yeah, I signed up for the scholarship, and I was one of the first scholarship recipients for the foundations program.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that story. I remember Alex interviewed you for our scholarship last year, right? It was like in November or October, and she got off the phone and she was like, she's an angel. She was like, he was like so touched by your story, and just I think there's just like something real that drives like your motivation, right, to this career. It wasn't like I want to make more money or like, I want to do XYZ. It was about inclusivity and right, like making sure your dad could like live life, right, and like have access to things that everybody else has access to. And I think that's just really powerful. Like that's honestly like what drove me to eventually create this program, was the fact that like I was in a job where like I was one of the most inclusive people, right? Like I was on the committee, a D&I committee, to like help more people at our job, like understand how to create inclusive products and not exclude people. And I was like, we need more diverse people in our teams. And that's when I started doing research, and I was like, people don't know what this is. And also like the current programs are so expensive, right? Like who has 24 grand to like do some course to maybe like change careers, like maybe figure out if it's for them. So anyway, that's awesome. I'm really glad you felt comfortable sharing that with us. And also congrats, you started your job yesterday, right?
Yes, I did. Yo, are we allowed to talk numbers? I'm gonna do it.
We can talk numbers. Yeah. Wait, before we talk numbers, so you interviewed, let's talk timeline before we talk numbers. So you interviewed for a scholarship. It was the first scholarship class we fund. That was last November. Did you start in November or December class?
I think actually it was December class in January. So, but I was, whatever the class was first, I was the
December.
first.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you started our foundations program in December. Tell me what happened then from that point.
Okay. So you start And it's almost like I feel like an online class, but with support, with access to real people. So it took me about 2 months to complete the foundations program. And I remember like the first few weeks, it was like, yes, it was scary, but it was also like exhilarating. It's like the more you learn about UX, and I think one of the first things we did was like interview other people, or some sort. And I used my Instagram stories to interview people, and that's how I gained the data. And it was so good. I was like, I'm on a roll. I got like 100 people to fill out my survey or whatever. And so continued that. I remember there was just so many moments where I was doing the work and I felt lost in it, like where you just feel like you can lose yourself in it because it's so like enjoyable. And one of those for me was the wireframing process, where I was like, every pixel has to be perfect, and met with a lot of mentors, and just enjoyed it. And so that took
Yeah.
about 2 months to build my like, capstone project, which was a journaling app. And then I think I finished like January 30th, and then took February off because I was tired. Um, and then in March, I think the foundations course does a great job of also like partnering us with opportunities. And so I did a hackathon all the month of March. And
Nice.
then, yep, and then started and I helped a business owner build an MVP. And I felt like I was able to apply what I learned in foundations and just continue building on that. And then I started a career jumpstart in April. It
Nice.
took me until like the end of June, almost like 3 months to finish 2 projects, but they're projects I'm proud of. And with the hackathon and with the capstone, I have 4 in total in my portfolio. And then it took me 32 days to apply to jobs. And I got my offer. And yeah, so I mean, it's not a crazy short process, but it is when you think of it, when like the quality of my life has changed so much in the past few months. It's just wild.
Yeah,
So
because it hasn't been a year yet from your first, yeah, I think 10 months from when you started.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah,
8 months.
yeah, yeah,
And I
which is
will
crazy. Yeah.
and I will say, like, I'm Latina. I studied poetry in school. I'm not someone who's like math oriented or, tech oriented. Like,
Right.
that doesn't come naturally to me. I am a creative and a hardworking person, but I don't have a background in this. So I think
Yeah.
it's not bad.
It's doable. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's awesome. So yeah, I'll do a little disclaimer. I think it took you 30 some days to find a job. That's not like super typical. Like I do this with everybody. I'm like, it's not typical, but everybody we've interviewed so far has found a job really fast.
Yeah.
But in the CJ program, we say that it can take up to 6 months if you're following like all of the little tidbits that we're giving you, tracking your jobs and things like that. So super congrats on the really fast job application / interview stage. Tell us a little bit more about your numbers if you want to share. Tell us how that's like changed your
Yeah.
your life or
Yes. And obviously numbers are not everything. But when you're poor, it is. Or when you didn't grow up like that, it does make a difference. So yeah, I like quadrupled my salary. But I got an offer for 105, which is crazy. And I come from just a community where it's like we make 20s and 30s, and that's like, and 40 something is like a great salary. And
yeah,
so I think, yeah, I don't know. It's
yeah,
impactful.
that's awesome because yeah, I've 6-figure salary, right? Where 10 months ago you thought, I mean, I feel like that's a really good TikTok like success story, right? Like TikTok changed your life in a way because that's where it started. But that's amazing and benefits, right? Like I think your job has like health insurance and like 401k, like things that I mean, I grew up very poor as well, and like I didn't know what a 401k was. I didn't know health insurance existed, right? Like, yeah, things like that.
And
Um,
like having a salary, I think it's like when you're used to hourly wages too, it's like it's a different world. Like,
yeah, paid time off, salary, like benefits. I know you just started, so we won't get too far into the benefits, but usually, you know, they send you a computer or they send you, you know, tech, they give you stipend for Wi-Fi, like all of these things that you're like, oh, wow, I didn't know this is what it's, it's like, right, to have these type of jobs.
Yeah, I got a computer, and I think something fun about my job is I'm going on business trips, y'all. I'm a business lady, expenses paid, hotel and flight. So I'm excited. Shoot. So 4 times a year, I have a remote job, but 4 times a year I'll get to go to Chicago for like a week, which is nice.
Nice, that's awesome. I'm sure you'll like it more in the summer and the fall than you will in the winter.
Yeah.
But that's great. Tell us a little bit more. I know you just started a job, but what drew you to this company, and like what does your day-to-day look like, or what did yesterday look like? Because I guess you have like one day under your belt, but
Plenty of
um
experience.
yeah, did you feel prepared? You know, what does that look like in terms of your job now?
Yes. So yesterday was my first day. I'm on day 2. I'm not fired yet. Also, I have a feeling, I thought that they were just going to take it away. Like they were just going to be like, just kidding, no offer. That didn't happen. As far as right now, it's a lot of onboarding. It's a lot of learning about the company. It's a lot of learning about what my role is going to look like. So honestly, just a lot of onboarding and a lot of meeting one-on-one with people. I think something that I know I was telling Maka before the video started is I I had so much anxiety like the weeks up until my start date, and I'm there now, and I'm hearing conversations about development life, system cycles, and I work with like creating products to prevent cancer. And we work with labs, we work with physicians, and we create medical records and all these products to be able to identify and prevent cancer, create treatment plans for it. It's like confusing work, but I feel like I have the tools to understand how I am going to go about things,
Yeah.
and the tools to be able to communicate and ask the right questions. And we do I did the 2 client projects in Career Jumpstart, and I think those really prepare. It's like real life work. It's not pretend work.
Yeah.
It's real work with real clients, and I feel prepared. Ask me again in a month, I might be crying, but right now I feel good. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you, well, I know you just joined, but have you joined any of like what do we call it? After the job search. I tried to do a play on after the final rose for after CJ
Yeah.
classes, but every other week we have like a group call with past CJ grads. So people in the workforce, right, that are in your same position. And it's been pretty interesting to see how people talk about how they use design systems in their work, or like how their design process goes. So if you haven't joined those, you should definitely join them, because
Yeah.
they're a lot of fun. And I think it's good to continue having community. Like I know the CJ community is very close knit, and like people are like supporting each other as you go through that process. But I think it's also important as you're kind of navigating this whole new world, right, of
Yes.
um your new role. But awesome. I know we're getting to time here, so I do have one final question. If you had to give advice to people that are watching this about changing careers, if they're hesitant, they're not sure if they should do it, what is like one piece of advice you would give them about either the process or like taking that step?
I think one piece of advice I would give people is they so cheesy, but I think you have to believe that you're able to do it. And if you believe that you're able to do it, you're going to do it, and you're going to find a job. And if you have that belief in yourself, you're going to apply yourself, and you're going to work hard. And it might not be instantaneous, but you're going to get what you put in.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes, especially like when it comes to imposter syndrome or just fear, I feel like we get in our own way, and we think that, okay, well, that applies to her, but that's not going to happen with me, or because of X, Y, and Z, like I won't be able to get 6 figures or whatever. But you can do it, and people need you in this space. And UX design is all about understanding humans. You're human. You have work experience working with other humans, I imagine. Like, I think, especially if you're listening to this and you come from a background that isn't represented in tech, or, you don't see people that look like you or that, I don't know, have the same lived experiences as you in these spaces. Like, we need you here. And I don't know, representation matters. You are capable of doing this and you deserve it. You deserve bouginess. Yeah, and you can do it. So I think that's what
Yeah, I think that's awesome, and that's really why we have these calls, right? Is to show people that all sorts of folks, right? You don't need a master's degree, you don't need like a computer science degree, you don't need to know how to code, right? Like it's all about determination, right? Like we see people from all walks of lives that are able to just change their lives by putting in hard work, because it is hard work. I like to say that in every one of these videos is it's not easy, it's not a get rich quick pyramid scheme of sorts. Like you have to put in the work. But if you're willing to put in the work, like we have a whole team that's ready to like, I'm like hugging the camera, support you in this process, right? So I'm really glad you mentioned that. I'm really grateful that you were able to take the time to chat today. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Maka. Thank you, audience.